you fall. Watch you lose in control. I'm seeing red. Watch you rise, watch you fall. Now I'm about to break. Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this? Face the pain, no escape. Can you step to this? Face the pain. Face the pain, no escape. Can you step
What's
to
going on,
this?
fight fans? Welcome to another episode of the Fixed Fights podcast with Kurt and Ben. As always, I'm Kurt. I'm here with my main man, Ben. Ben, what's going on this week, man?
A lot of fights, dude. I'm pretty good. Not a lot going on my end, I should say, but we were kind of talking about it before we started. Like, I feel like it's pretty straightforward, man. There's so many fights going on, and when I was like kind of preparing to talk on this podcast today, I was realizing like there's no John Jones getting arrested, Conor McGregor's not punching people in bars, right? It's mostly just like recapping honestly really good fights that we had over the weekend and looking forward to like an incredible card, maybe one of the best that they've put together on paper so far this year.
Yeah, this is a really, really excellent card to close out the year, which we're going to get into. But this past weekend, we saw a ton of fights, not only on the MMA side, but boxing had a couple of big fights, which we could talk a bit about. But let's start the show off with, it got to be the most shocking result of the weekend, and that's Sergio Pettis with probably the biggest win of his career. Stops Kyoji Horiguchi in the fourth round of a fight that he was losing just about every second of. But man, that knockout was insane. Definitely, I mean, that's talk about a late entry for a knockout of the year. I mean, that's got to be up there. And again, not only recency bias, but if you look at the knockout itself, the way that fight was going, I mean, dude, the shock value was there, man. Holy crap.
Yeah, if you, when you're picking your knockout of the year, if you weigh heavily on like the circumstances around it, I think this is like the biggest one. It feels like, I mean, losing the fight, championship on the line, especially now we're about to talk about their bantamweight Grand Prix. I feel like whoever holds that bantamweight belt is suddenly a bit of a bigger star because they're doing a tournament around that weight class. But yeah, pretty fucking incredible. Also, like, I love the fact that Pettis pulled the hammer fist at the very end just to make it like kind of a little bit more of a perfect knockout, right? A bit of a like technically a walk off. But yeah, incredible. I mean, I didn't see this live, but I saw people going fucking crazy on social media, and rightfully so. You know, we're coming up on end of the year, so we will have to be talking about knockout of the year, but it's got to be up there in the top 3, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Again, I didn't do too much research before this, but I mean, you got Yuri Prochazka knocking out Dominic Reyes, got to be up there. A few others, but man, this, like you said, circumstances of this fight, I was impressed with Kyoji Horiguchi, and again, like going into the fight, I just thought he was better than Sergio Pettis pretty much everywhere, and I thought he proved that for most of the fight. But again, this is why we love this crazy sport of MMA.
Yeah, and I will say, I feel like sometimes MMA fans or fans that are more like hardcore fans tend to shit on somebody who fights like Sergio Pettis because, yeah, he was losing most of that fight. And I think maybe skill for skill, Horiguchi is probably better than him. But Pettis's ability to throw things like that and land it, like that is a skill in and of itself. So who cares if he was losing the first 3 rounds? I mean, I'm sure he cares a little bit, but having the ability to end the fight like that, especially at such a low weight class, is like such an asset because he's in the fight at all times. So huge credit to him. And I know he's not typically been a finisher, but you know, with the way he fights, like if you're spinning, you can knock anybody out basically. So huge credit to Pettis, and yeah, looking forward to this bantamweight Grand Prix that will only like kind of thrust him into the limelight a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm glad they're actually finally doing the bantamweight Grand Prix. I mean, honestly, dude, their division is so stacked. They probably could have done a 16-man. But
Yeah.
You know, the 8 guys they do have in this bracket are amazing. We're going to see Pettis, the reigning champion. Again, the way Bellator does it, every time the champion fights, the belt is on the line. All these fights are going to be 5 rounds. So, I mean, let me ask you this, Ben. Let's run through the names quick. We got Sergio Pettis, Kyoji Horiguchi, Magomedov, Leandro Ego's in this. Let me actually pull up the rest of these names. Rufian Stotts is in this.
Patchy Mix.
James Gallagher.
Yeah, I think that's everybody.
Let's see, I'm trying to pull up
Pettis, Horiguchi, Archuleta, Gallagher, Ego, Magomedov,
Archuleta,
Mix, and Stotts. There we go.
So who right now, if I had to ask you, who is should be the favorite in this tournament?
I mean, I think Pettis. However, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, betting wise, it's Horiguchi based on everything. I know I just said, like, being able to finish the fight at a moment's notice is a huge asset, but I mean, if Horiguchi and Pettis fight again, I don't know what that fight would be lined. You would maybe pick Horiguchi as the favorite, to be honest, even though he's coming off the loss, just based on how the first 20 minutes or so of that fight went. So one of those two, I think. Other guys I got my name on, or my eyes on, though, obviously Stotts is a super exciting entrant.
Stud.
I want to see Patchy Mix rematch Juan Archuleta. I think that fight could go differently. And if we see a Patchy Mix that can get past somebody like Juan Archuleta, I think he's dangerous to anybody just based on, like, the way he fights, right? Because I think Patchy Mix could out-grapple Kyoji Horiguchi. I think Patchy Mix could maybe out-grapple Sergio Pettis. But if he goes against guys that have better takedown defense like Stotts or Archuleta, he's in trouble. So it's a matter of matchups, which I think is kind of what makes this tournament so interesting, is every single one of these guys feels like they have a chance. And like you said, it could have been 16-man easy. Like, there's guys like Brett Johns, Darion Caldwell, if he ever wants to go back down to this division, they have guys on the roster that could easily slot in, and I think you would think, oh, they could get it all the way to the finals or even win it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm wondering if they do. I wonder if they run back this fight first round, Pettis and Horiguchi. I mean, that could, that's the beauty of these tournaments. I mean, you can go literally any which way with this matchmaking. It's going to be exciting. Glad they're doing it. Bellator, I think, has hit home runs with a lot of these tournaments in the past. I thought the 170-pound tournament was amazing. That final with AJ McKee and Patricio Pitbull arguably produced the biggest, I think, Bellator fight in the history. So glad they're doing the bantamweights. I think any which way you can match this 8-man tournament up is going to be fireworks.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And again, this is not just us being like MMA hipsters trying to get excited about things outside of the UFC. Like, this is banging. If the UFC ever did anything like this, could you imagine them doing this in their own bantamweight division? It would be insanity. So whatever. Good on Bellator for maximizing what they have.
It would be insanity. Couple others from the Bellator card that we should shout out. Jeremy Kennedy getting a or a rock solid win over Emmanuel Sanchez. Johnny Eblen as well, still undefeated, defeats Colin Huckbuddy in about a minute. Calls out John Salter, which I think is a proper call out. Gegard Mousasi is going to be defending his title against Austin Vanderford. Johnny Eblen is undefeated. Calls out John Salter, who fought for the title previously. Love the call out. He's somebody to keep your eye on.
Yeah, for sure. And you got to think, Bellator hasn't done a 185 Grand Prix yet. That's got to be on their radar, I would think.
Yeah, I would imagine so. All right, let's shoot over to the UFC side of things now. Main event, another dude, honestly, excellent fight in the bantamweight division. Jose Aldo, man, and put some fucking respect on this guy's name. You know what's crazy, dude? I didn't really realize until I saw like the pre-fight graphic. Isn't it crazy that Jose Aldo is only a year older than Rob Font? It's just like this guy has been around for so long at the top of the division. I feel like people have tried to write him off a couple times, and he just does not go away, dude. He just gets better and better. I mean, and again, he's had to change a lot of his style. It's the reaction time, obviously. I guess you could say is not what he used to be, but man, Jose Aldo is impressive as hell. This fight was freaking awesome. And for him to go toe to toe with Rob Font on the feet, and Rob Font has some of the best boxing in the UFC, has an excellent jab. I mean, I can't gush enough about Jose Aldo, man. The dude's a stud.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I think his reaction time is still there. I think we just see maybe he was never a high paced fighter, obviously. But I think he's just a little bit more concerned about cardio for sure. Probably
Yeah.
down a weight class, older, he's 35 years old. Like, I think he's just a little bit more conservative, but this fight, I think, really showed off the benefits of fighting conservatively, because we saw, right, that first 3-4 minutes of Rob Font just kind of unloading every weapon he had on Aldo. And if you've seen a Jose Aldo fight before, yeah, the commentary was going crazy. Oh, Rob Font's doing incredible. He's doing it so good. But I don't know about you, Kurt, but when I was watching that, I was like, dude, when Aldo decides to answer, shit's over. Like, Aldo's going to take over because his defense is so good. He's so powerful that when he does throw, he lands hard. And I think, to my point about him fighting conservatively, I think that's to his benefit because Rob Font has so few looks to go off of. All Rob Font had for the first 3.5 minutes was Aldo basically shelling up and occasionally maybe throwing a jab. So then when Aldo did attack, Font had no idea where it was going to come from. He had no idea how to counter it. So that's why you see this Font with this crazy output, Aldo with much lower output, but landing at a crazy high rate and doing way more damage. So I think Aldo honestly is aging into this style pretty well. Yeah, you don't usually see guys in their mid and late 30s have a ton of success at lightweight or lower. But Jose Aldo, if he can fight like this, he could fight this style into maybe 38, 39 even. Who knows? But I think, yeah, put some respect on his name. That was the first thing you said, and I think that's the last thing that needs to be said about Jose Aldo.
Well, dude, remember when it was announced that he was going to drop down to bantamweight? We were
we thought he was going to die.
Write him off. That did not seem like a good idea. I mean, there were fights where he was gassing and looked like death on the scale at 145, and then, he loses to Marlon Moraes in a fight that most people thought he won, gets stopped by Petr Yan, and then this 3-fight winning streak over Marlon Vera, Pedro Munoz, and Rob Font is it's impressive as hell, man. The big question is, who does he fight next? And he called out TJ Dillashaw. I think that's the perfect call out because if you look at the rankings right now, Jose Aldo's 3, Petr Yan and Aljamain Sterling have to finish their business. I mean, who else is left? A Corey Sandhagen fight could be fun, but Sandhagen's coming off of 2 losses. I believe Merab Dvalishvili is matched up. I mean, Dillashaw, that is a fight that makes a ton of sense, and boy, would that be an interesting one.
Yeah, why not? I mean, that's right in front of you. I don't see why that wouldn't happen. I don't see Dillashaw turning that down. Yeah, give me that fight. I would love to see Aldo's takedown defense really tested at 135 against what I consider to be a pretty elite takedown artist in TJ Dillashaw. Dillashaw could test his cardio. He could test my theory that Aldo can fight at a really low pace and still win. Because it would look similar to what we just saw, I think, with Dillashaw throwing tons of volume, Aldo just throwing a little bit, but with tons of heat. Yeah, give that to me. Dude, could you fucking imagine an 8-man bantamweight Grand Prix with UFC's bantamweight?
I know, it'd be insane.
But yeah, Aldo Dillashaw, that's the one.
It is the one. Co-main event, another banger of a fight. Rafael Fiziev gets Brad Riddell out of there in the 3rd round with a beautiful spinning wheel kick. I mean, dude, I always love the phrase, but high-speed chess, right? This was 100% high-speed chess. The level of striking these two guys have is just amazing. And again, they've trained before, so I believe they know some of what the other one's bringing, but I mean, Fiziev is a beast. And the crazy thing is, Fiziev gets this win, and it only bumps off to, I believe, number 11 at lightweight, which just shows how insane lightweight is, that there's 10 guys ahead of him. Conor McGregor's ahead of him, which should not be the case. But Yeah, dude. Impressive win for Vazayev. Dude, just again, you look at up and down the lightweight division, you can pretty much match him up with anybody, and it's going to produce fireworks.
Yeah, I believe he mentioned Gregor Gillespie, which, yeah,
That's an
let's do it.
interesting one.
That's ballsy of him that he's like down to fight one of the best wrestlers in that division. So yeah, sign me up for it.
I think you can go Rafael dos Anjos too. I wasn't gonna say Dan Hooker, but Dan Hooker's going down to 145. Who knows what's happening with Tony Ferguson? I think Dos Anjos could be fun, and I think Gregor Gillespie is a great call as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Jamal Hill starching Jimmy Crute, impressive as hell. The man Clay Guida with another upset. I mean, Clay Guida, dude, that's another guy that's
incredible
at this forever.
Incredible,
yeah. And for him to sub Leandro Santos, that's like an extra feather in his cap. Leandro Santos is no fucking joke.
It's
Clay Guida, man.
I feel like it's been a tough year between Leonardo Santos and Rodolfo Vieira getting submitted in the UFC. It's been a tough year for jiu-jitsu guys, like totally gassing themselves out and then just falling apart on the ground. But to be fair, dude, Leonardo Santos is fucking 40. I guess so is Clay Guida,
yeah.
But still, I mean, that was a fun fight, way funner than I expected. I'll say that much.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But
yeah.
Clay Guida, man. Wrapping up this main card, Chris Curtis moves to 6-0 in 2021. I mean, dude, Chris Curtis is a really nice story because remember he won a couple times on the Contender Series. He never got his shot. I remember he ended up retiring, and then finally it comes full circle. He gets a shot on short notice, and now he's produced 2 straight finishes. So I'm really happy to see this guy in the UFC and producing finishes.
Dude, people don't talk about it enough because the UFC refuses to talk about any other promotion but the UFC. But Chris Curtis retired in 2 times in one night. Remember, he was in, it was the 2019 PFL where they were doing 2 fights in one night.
Yep.
Chris Curtis lost his first fight, takes off his gloves in the cage, puts them down, is like, I'm done, I'm retiring. Then they tell him backstage, oh, we need a replacement for the finals. If you win this fight, then you'll fight for $1 million. So he like has to scramble to find his gloves, gets them on, fights Ray Cooper, gets knocked out in the first round after like minutes after thinking he'd retired from MMA, retires again. And then now he's fucking undefeated in the UFC. What a crazy story. Because I remember watching that thinking, I cannot believe this guy retired and then came back out here just to get totally fucking starched by Ray Cooper. What a sad story. And now, man, comes full circle. Here he is.
Yeah, look at him now, man. It is a great story, a great success story. Happy to see Chris Curtis doing the thing in the UFC. Alex Morono opens up the main card with a unanimous decision over Mickey Gall. On the prelim card, finally glad to see Manel Cape look really good. Stops Zulgas Sumagulov, who is a stud in his own right in the first round. That's 2 in a row for Manel Cape. I think we said it on the show before. We're both always been pretty high on Manel Cape. We've not ready to bury him yet, so I'm glad to see him actually looking like the guy we thought he was.
Yeah, I think he's going to settle back in, man. I think this guy is a top 5 flyweight. Like, I think he's here. I mean, he's got 2 like awesome knockouts back to back. I think his first fight against Pantoja, he seemed timid and like truly like UFC jitters. And it might've been like in Ryzen, he was fighting with, I believe wrestling shoes on in a square ring. So I think his first fight, he was out of it. And then his second fight against Nicolau, I thought he won. Was still a little tentative. I think he's settling in now. 2 back-to-back finishes. I think, watch out, this guy's coming big in 2022.
Yes, he absolutely is. Anyone else on the prelim card you want to shout out?
That was about it. I mean, I had Manel Cape circled. No, man, this was a banger of a card. I loved watching.
It really was. It was a good card.
I watched most of the main card live and then rewatched a lot of the prelims, and top to bottom bangers.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great card. Did you get to watch any boxing this weekend?
No, just highlights. But man, boxing is popping off. I'll say that.
Boxing was popping off, and again, that lightweight 135-pound division in boxing was on display. I didn't see the Devin Haney fight, but I did see George Kambosos go out there and take it to Teofimo Lopez, in which it was an amazing fight and a huge upset. And I got to say, dude, I'm glad that the right guy won, because you see so many times in boxing, like, these underdogs go out there and fight this fight of their life, and boxing just gets them and they lose the fight via bullshit decision. But I was glad that, very glad that George Kambosos won the fight, because he deserved it.
Yeah, and it shakes things up. Like, I don't know, for guys like us that are only kind of casual boxing fans, I don't know, I feel like you kind of have these champions in your head. It's like, oh, Teofimo Lopez, he's going to be the guy now for like 7 fucking years, right?
I know, dude.
But it's cool to have it shaken up, because it makes me want to watch these fights more.
Gervonta Davis fought too, actually. His fight was really good too. He fought a late replacement, Isaac Cruz, who really took it to him. I thought Gervonta deserved to win, but man, Isaac Cruz was in that fight. So, again, it brings a problem. Boxing is booming, especially at this weight class, but are we going to get to see these guys fight each other? Probably not anytime soon,
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part.
Yeah, I know. It is what it is, though. Let's move on to UFC 269, because this fight card, like we mentioned before, is amazing, top to bottom. I mean, I did the prelim primer with Daniel Vreeland, and this is one of the ones where I barely even had to research anything, because I know the fighters so well. The prelim card is stacked, and this 5-fight main card is some of the best the UFC has had to offer this year. It's headlined by none other than Charles Oliveira, the defending UFC lightweight champion, which is still kind of crazy to say, taking on Dustin Poirier. And the thing I like about this fight is these guys are kind of almost cut from the same cloth, right? Like their paths to this fight, their paths to this title fight have been not easy, right? I mean, these guys were both, on the cusp, they were always good, but they had their trials and tribulations. They were never the guy that was 5, 6, 7-0 undefeated getting to the title fight, right? I mean, Charles Oliveira had what before? It's crazy. Charles Oliveira, I forget what the line was, but he had like 20 fights or something prior to fighting Michael Chandler. I mean, he made his debut in 2010. Dustin Poirier made his debut in 2011. Both these guys came up from 145. I mean, so many similarities. And then you look at the actual fight. Just these guys' styles are just amazing, man. I am super hyped for this fight.
Yeah, incredible fight. I'm all the way in on it. This has violence written all over it. I think it seems super unlikely this fight goes the distance. I know that's kind of something that's like something the UFC and people throw, there's no way this goes the distance. But stylistically, like, Oliveira, one of the absolute best finishers in all of MMA. Like, I think that's fair to say, right? Not just in the UFC, not just in the lightweight division. Look at this, putting away Michael Chandler, putting away Kevin Lee, putting away Jared Gordon, Nick Lentz, David Tamer, Jim Miller, Christos Giagos, Clay Guida. Like, one of the best finishers in all of MMA. Poirier is up there too. I just don't. And Poirier typically, often, when we see Poirier lose, it's been by stoppage. You have to go back like 3 losses to get to his last decision loss. So I think we see this fight not even get to maybe even the 4th round. I think that's a pretty safe bet, actually.
Yeah, Charles Oliveira, 40 fights, only 4 have gone to a decision.
Jesus Christ.
That's insane. So either he's been finished or finished a guy 36 times. It's wild. And I think the thing with Charles Oliveira that I think proved in his last fight is he does have some dog in him. I think, like, the thing with Charles Oliveira that was the no, right, was like, obviously great fighter, amazing finisher, but when the going gets tough, he kind of crumbled in his earlier fights. And, I think he's proven that in his, 9-fight win streak now that we can kind of close the book on that. I think he proved that in the Michael Chandler fight. He almost got finished. He came back. And he's going to need that, because Dustin Poirier is another guy like Michael Chandler that is just an absolute dog, right? Like, you really have to go out there and put Dustin Poirier a way to beat him. The guy is good everywhere. He can take a punch. The odds in this fight are relatively close. I'm kind of surprised. Charles Oliveira is a decent underdog in this fight. It's about minus 160 for Poirier. The comeback on Charles Oliveira is plus 140. Again, Charles Oliveira on a 9-fight win streak. I am very surprised that he is the underdog in this fight. It's crazy. I thought it would be more of a pick'em, but are people sleeping on Charles Oliveira still?
Yes, way too much. Those odds, I think, are exact opposite of. I might even put Oliveira at like minus 200. Maybe I sound crazy, but dude, he has done more for me recently than Poirier has in his recent wins over. I mean, Poirier's last 3 wins. I hate to shit on Poirier. He's like the most likable guy, but I think the line is reflecting his likability and the public's knowledge of him, the fact that he speaks English, all these things. Like, Poirier is one of those guys who isn't like a transcendental star, but within MMA community, he's basically like nobody can say a bad word against him, which for good reason. He does the charity work, all that shit. Super exciting. But Poirier's last 3 wins are 2 Conor McGregors and 1 Dan Hooker. That doesn't compare to me when you look at Oliveira finishing Chandler, beating a 2020 version of Tony Ferguson, finishing Kevin Lee. Like, I think Oliveira is on a different level. I also think stylistically, this fight is problematic for Poirier because, I mean, we saw in the Khabib fight, sometimes when shit's not going his way, he kind of makes some errors grappling wise. You cannot make a single fucking mistake when he's tied up against Oliveira. Obviously, Poirier has a path to victory if he can like stay on the feet and throw bombs. I think he has probably better power. But we also saw Oliveira, that fucking knockout on, or I guess the punch that dropped Michael Chandler, tell me that wasn't beautiful boxing. Like,
dude, his
I don't know,
striking
man.
is so good now.
Yeah, I am all over Oliveira. I'm with you that I think he's way back past kind of the mental. He had that super weird fight against Max Holloway where he kind of just quit. He had that fight against Anthony Pettis where he seemed to quit. Who knows what was going on behind the scenes back then? But I think something has changed that, yeah, like you said, he showed a little bit of dog in him against Michael Chandler. I think he is going to finish Dustin Poirier here. I think again, under 3 rounds.
Wow. Okay. How do you see him finishing him?
Some sort of submission, some sort of choke. I mean, I think he might have to deal with some of Poirier's pace and like power early. But I think Oliveira is an underrated wrestler. And he's like shown throughout his career that even if he can't get the fight to the ground on top, he will pull guard. He'll clinch with you. Even in the clinch, I think Oliveira wins. I think Oliveira's clinch game is too much for Poirier. I think Poirier obviously can test his chin, but I see Oliveira's skill just being too much. And then sometime in like, yeah, the 3rd round, hurting Poirier, and then latching onto some sort of front choke.
I mean, you called this, I want to say last year that Oliveira would be the champion at the end of the year, which is crazy.
See.
I mean, it wasn't that outlandish. Maybe at the time it was a little surprising, but I mean, now that we're here, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to differ. I'm going to go Poirier here. Not totally confident in the pick. I just think Poirier is going to be able to wear the shots better. I don't think he is going to be willing to go to the ground with Oliveira, although you never know. I mean, maybe Poirier fucking jumps the guillotine, ends up on top, and then it's bad news for him because I do think he is very confident in his guillotine. I do think he's going to be able to clip Oliveira. I think Poirier is arguably as good of a finisher, if not as good. I mean, he's right there. I think he stops Oliveira in the 2nd round after a wild 1st round. But again, either way this fight ends, I'm not surprised. I guess I can't say I'm guaranteeing a finish because we just saw Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje go 3 rounds. But man, this fight is going to be fireworks. This is great matchmaking here.
Yeah, one thing that I think edges Poirier's favor is his preparation. Not that Oliveira seems underprepared or lacking in strategy or anything like that. But I think Poirier does come out with specific game plans for every single fight. That is like, I always feel like there's something that he's going to do. Obviously, he doesn't change his style that much. But I feel like he's typically so well prepared. And at this point in his career, pretty malleable or like coachable. He can do so many things that if they say, hey, throw this like stepping left hand into a right hook, like do it, he can do it. So I think he'll have some surprises for Oliveira because that's typically kind of how he approaches each guy differently. But man, I even think Oliveira might be able to like get a couple blast double legs, straight up just take down Poirier. But who knows? I could be full of shit.
We will see, man. What a fight, though.
Yeah.
Is the co-main event Amanda Nunes next topic? I mean, it is, right? And Juliana Pena, for to her credit, she seems like she is extremely confident this week. She has been asking for this fight for a while, but I mean, Juliana Pena lost to GDR not too long ago by submission. She lost to Valentina by submission. She hasn't been all that active. Only one fight per year the last couple. I mean, the odds reflect it, and Amanda Nunes is right around a minus 1,000 favorite. Is there any way you see Juliana Pena winning this fight? And if not, I mean, does she even make it the full 5, or is this just Amanda Nunes playing with her prey until she wants to get her out of there?
I think Pena's too reckless to make it the full 5. I think Pena or Nunes either submits her, ground and pound TKO. I think it happens on the ground because Pena is way overconfident in her own grappling. And I think Nunes came into the UFC basically as a jiu-jitsu black belt, like a takedown ground and pound artist. And we might see some of that here. But yeah, I think it's Amanda Nunes next topic. Like, it's hard for me to see Pena's path to victory at all. Maybe if she can clip her on the feet, I have no idea. But she's way too reckless and way too lacking in like technique to kind of compete with Nunes basically anywhere.
Yeah, I think Nunes puts on another showcase here. Here's a question for you. Do you think Kayla Harrison is going to be in the building? Kind of similar to what they did with the Cyborg fight where they kind of showcased her. Now, I know the UFC is different. They're probably not going to get Kayla Harrison on the mic, but I'm wondering if they do like a pan to the crowd to get the, you know what I'm saying, the juices kind of flowing in that. Because if she beats Juliana Pena here and finishes her, like, aside from the Valentina Shevchenko trilogy, like what else is there for Amanda Nunes? Really nothing.
I don't know. I don't know if it would behoove the UFC. So let's say Kayla Harrison right now a free agent.
Yes.
Is it good or bad for the UFC's negotiations with her to show her on camera? Because in one sense, right, don't give her any attention. Drive down her asking price. Make it seem like nobody cares.
That is true. And that's
but
probably the route they'll go.
On the flip side, if they do show her, though, now there's suddenly pressure on her to sign with the UFC so that she can fight Amanda Nunes. She might then be sold, oh, if I get pay-per-view points, this fight's going to be massive. So maybe she is more likely to go with the UFC rather than Bellator and fight Cyborg. I would love it if the UFC showed her on camera just because, like, we need that kind of shit in MMA. When was the last time we had 2 competing organizations, each with, like, a viable, super exciting opponent and then a free agent in between them who could go either way? Like, wherever Kayla Harrison signs, I'm super jacked for her to fight either Cyborg or Nunes right out the gate.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll see. I think it would be interesting. I do think she'll be there for sure, but I don't know if they're going to give her any shine. Something to keep your eye on, though. Moving down in this card, Jeff Neal taking on Santiago Ponzinibio. Should be an absolute banger. Jeff Neal, though, was in some trouble last week. Had like it was like a DWI with firearms in the car.
He said, and again, this is him talking. He apparently said at his media day that the gun was legal and that yes, he had like a drink or 2 at Thanksgiving, but he thinks that like blood tests are going to show that he was under the legal limit. I didn't even know you could get arrested and still be under the limit. Maybe he refused the breathalyzer. I have no idea how that works, but he made it seem at the media day like, listen, this is not a big deal. So who knows? But yeah, unlikely because he seems like such, honestly, kind of like a stand-up guy that it was surprising news. Not that to like assume anything about anybody, but Jeff Neal seems like a pretty straight, narrow, like follow the rules, nice guy, but who knows?
he needs a win here bad.
Oh
Coming
yeah.
off 2 losses, 2 kind of ugly losses too. I mean, that Stephen Thompson fight was not good for him. Loses to Neal Magny. Ponzinibio coming off that insane win over Miguel Baeza. I think this is probably Ponzinibio's fight to lose. I think that he is going to be able to pressure Jeff Neal, get in his face with volume. Ponzinibio wears a shot well. Jeff Neal, though, hands of stone. The guy is a stud. He does have big power, does have a good chin, but I'm leaning Santiago Ponzinibio here.
Yeah, this has big time banger alert written all over it. And like I was just saying, man, I know Jeff Neal said it wasn't a big deal, but imagine dealing with this shit on fight week. Let's say he truly, whether he was drinking truly or not, even if he was like, let's say, you know, you had a glass of champagne, you were perfectly fine, nothing else. And even if you know, all right, this gun is registered, I'm completely innocent, nothing's going to come of this, still having to answer questions and deal with this, probably get a ton of fucking hate on social media.
Absolutely.
That's got to throw him off on fight week. But yeah, this has absolute banger alert written all over it. And I'm with you. I think Ponzinibio, more volume, and I think Ponzinibio might be the more technical kickboxer, but I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, I am too. Flying under the radar a bit. Cody Garbrandt making his flyweight debut finally. I'm wondering how he's going to look on the scale, but dude, they did not give him a layup here. Kai France is a stud. That's a tough debut fight for Cody Garbrandt. Again, we don't know how the cardio is going to look. We don't know how the weight cut's going to look. The odds in this fight, they got Cody Garbrandt as a pretty decent favorite, like minus 135, minus 145. I would think that Kai France should be the favorite here, and I'm actually picking Kai France. I don't know if this is the right move for Cody Garbrandt.
I'm actually with you, man. Not to like read the tea leaves or try to figure out what flyweight is like for him, but honestly, I see Cody Garbrandt doing the TJ Dillashaw spam right hands with my feet planted and get knocked out by a more technical striker. I see that happening here, like straight up. And the new weight cut's going to not be great for his chin, which is already, I think, on shaky ground to begin with. Yeah, I mean, I see Cody Garbrandt losing this fight.
Yeah, I agree. Opening up the main card too. I'm feeling more and more confident that we're going to see a big upset here. I think people are kind of sleeping on Rolian Paiva, A, because they don't know him, and B, I think they're a little bit too high on Sean O'Malley. Again, this might be the fight because I do think this is again, not in name value but in skill value. This is a little bit of a step up for Sean O'Malley. Rolian Paiva is a stud, really good, has great back takes. I'm kind of feeling the upset here, and if you did put some money on Paiva, he is a pretty big underdog, right around a plus 250, plus 275. I think there's good money to be had there. I'm picking Paiva over Sean O'Malley. I think he actually gets to his back and subs him.
Yeah, I like that pick as well. I mean, can Rolian Paiva, 1, kick a leg? Probably. And 2, he can grapple. So, like, I don't think it's out of the question. Yeah, these odds seem off to me too. Not that I would put Paiva as the favorite necessarily, but right now he's plus 250. Fuck. I would make it even in pick'em fight, to be honest. I think there's tons of value there on Paiva.
Yeah, there is a lot of value on Paiva. If Sean O'Malley does win, though, I think he was talking about it. I think you got to make that Adrian Yanez fight. That would be absolute banger. So we'll see. We'll see.
That's a risky. I mean, that would be a banger, but that's setting O'Malley up to lose at his own game. If I'm being totally honest.
But I mean, dude, at this point, it's like shit or get off the pot. Like we've been talking about this guy as like the guy for a while now, and he's just, And again, Paiva is a step up, but at least name value wise, if he does win this, I want to see him start really making a move.
Right, for sure.
We look at this, dude. This undercard is fucking sick too. The return of Josh Emmett taking on Dan Ige should be a banger. Are you at all? Let me ask you this: Josh Emmett's last fight against Shane Burgos, he wins, but absolutely tears his body apart. What kind of Josh Emmett do you think we're going to see after what was it, like a 2? It was a long layoff. About a year and a half layoff.
It's a tough fight to come back to because we know Ige is going to put him through the fucking meat grinder, right? Ige will be pressuring him. Ige will be trying to wrestle him. Ige will be trying to completely like box up his body. That said, I think guys coming off long layoffs are typically have the most trouble with like explosive finishers because their timing is off, right? The first round, guys that are super, super dangerous give them problems. As much as Ige will put Emmett through the grinder, I think Ige's not this like early, typically. I mean, he does have some knockouts, like huge threat to like put you away early. So I think he'll give Emmett a chance to kind of get in the groove if he does have any sort of ring rust. But I don't have a firm take on that fight other than I think Ige is kind of the perfect guy to test to see where Emmett's at right now.
Yeah, agreed. Dominic Cruz taking on Pedro Munoz. Dominic Cruz in the twilight of his career, but Pedro Munoz is good. But I feel like Pedro Munoz, especially at this point in his career, he's really excelled with guys who are willing to stand, trade, and get into a firefight with him. And I think Dominic Cruz still has enough juice left in the tank where he's going to be able to put the movement on. He still has that awkward style, although it's not as probably effective as it used to be. But I think Dominic Cruz is going to be able to stay out of enough trouble to eke out a really close, fun decision.
I think so too, but we'll see. If Cruz loses this fight, I think it'll be because he really does not look great. I mean, he was just in a split decision with Casey Kenny.
True.
So we'll see. I think physically he's just slowing down a ton, and that's okay.
So many injuries, man. Plus he's older now.
Hey, what do you think before we keep going? What do you think about Cruz flat out saying he mutes Daniel Cormier's commentary?
Did you see this? There's a little heat there, huh?
Yeah, they apparently did a sit down interview together where they talk about it on camera, and I haven't seen that yet, so I can't totally comment. But Cruz, like, never change, man. That guy is always going to be if he thinks he is right. For him to just at a media day be like, Cormier doesn't, he's in just to get money and out. Man, I don't have a firm stance. I personally like Cormier's commentary because
I do too, yeah.
I don't need somebody telling me every little fucking detail. I need somebody who kind of can. Cormier does truly offer a fair amount of insight into fights, I think. Like how it's going, what this guy needs to do, what this guy is trying to do. He does do that. He's clearly not as like prepared as Cruz, but I'm okay with that. I like to feel like I'm watching the fight with a friend a little bit.
Yeah, agreed. He also said one other one too, where he basically said Cormier is unprepared.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, dude.
He's like, he doesn't do his homework. It's like, why would you say that about this guy, like, on TV, dude? Like,
you're gonna have to work with him again soon. Maybe he's just
and
grumpy, I don't know.
And like, I don't know. He's cutting weight. I mean, probably but he also, that seems like so on brand for Dominic Cruz. Yeah. Like Dominic Cruz is the friend that would be like, your shirt looks stupid today. Like he would just like fucking tell you, like,
flat out tell you
your hair is awful. Like, okay. Yeah,
that's funny. We'll see though. We'll see how he looks in there. I think they set Tai Tuivasa up with a perfect foil to get another shoey live on camera. We don't got to say much about this, but I think Augusto Sakai is going to be there to hit. Tai Tuivasa slings them bungalows, so I think he knocks him out, gets another shoey in.
Yeah, we got a crowd here. That'll be fun, right? Him doing shoeys, but this is such a big boy jiggly fight that I kind of wish it was happening at the Apex so we could just hear the thuds. But yeah, that's a good fight.
The two fights we got to talk about on this early prelim card. One of these I know you're stoked about. Aaron Blansfield taking on Miranda Maverick. You've been talking about Aaron Blansfield for a while. What is your take on this fight?
It's crazy that they made it because both these women are like clearly in very similar positions, like very, very, very highly touted, fast rising prospects. And I do have like some. Like I moved to Kansas City in 2018, and that's when I started attending Invicta events as press. And both of these women were like the early fighters that I saw. So I have like this personal kind of attachment to seeing them like now make it to the big show. It's interesting that they put this together. I have been super, super, super high on Erin Blanchfield. Initially, she was booked against Macy Barber in this spot. And I thought, well, Blanchfield's going to get another win. I'm less confident against Miranda Maverick. They are similar skill-wise. I know Miranda Maverick has recently changed camps, and I don't know if she even needed that because she was at a smaller gym in like Norfolk, Virginia or something with, and I thought she was coming along great. She's now at Team Elevation. We'll see how that helps or hurts her, but man, this is a great fight. I think I favor Maverick's physicality a little bit. Not that Blansfield isn't like a super physical fighter, but skill-wise, they're actually pretty similar. Blansfield might have a bit of an edge on the mat, but Maverick has looked like a fucking Terminator in her fights in the UFC. I'm super, super pumped about this fight. I favor Maverick by decision, but I mean, if you look, I've seen Miranda Maverick lose by decision. I mean, she just lost to Macy Barber by split.
Did she?
Terrible decision. That was a terrible decision.
Bad decision.
But you look at Miranda Maverick against Jillian Robertson, Luana Jojua, she looked like an absolute destroyer. And we'll see. Coming off a loss, we'll see if she fights any differently. I'm excited. If people don't know about Erin Blanchfield, you got to know now. If she gets past Miranda Maverick, sky's the limit. Like, we fast track her to the top, I say.
Yeah, I favor Miranda Maverick ever so slightly too. I think she is going to have just the advantage on the feet. She is very physical. I do really hope that this fight hits the mat because I think the scrambles between these two ladies could be really good. I actually competed on a grappling card with Miranda Maverick once, and let me tell you, dude, you've seen her in person. She is a dude. She's like a physical specimen. She is a built girl, and both these girls are so young too. It's good matchmaking, but you kind of hate to see it because they're both such bright prospects. You hate to see them hit so early, but dude, this has the makings to be a really fun fight.
Also, dude, apparently Miranda Maverick gets around because I've also competed on a grappling card with her,
nice,
which is
dude.
fucking crazy. But yeah, the grappling wise, I think Blanchfield is a little bit more traditional jiu-jitsu style.
Yeah.
Maverick much more like kind of wrestling, impose her physicality, and I think it's great. And I hope the UFC sets this up properly by saying these are like the two pretty obvious, clear, like top up and comers in this weight class. And this fight is important for the division because it is. I hope they set it up. They give it the proper context.
Yeah. The last one I want to talk about in this card, Ryan Hall taking on Derek Minner. Ryan Hall coming off that ugly knockout loss to Ilia Topuria, where he just tried like the same entry to get the fight to the mat, just over and over, and it just did not work. Derek Minner, I believe, claims to be the best grappler in the division. Do you think Derek Minner is actually going to try to test his grappling against Ryan Hall?
Maybe not willingly. I think so. I think he's going to make that mistake. I think Derek Minner strikes me as the type of guy that Ryan Hall's going to Imanari roll, and Derek Minner's going to think, oh, cool, I'm on top, and then it'll fucking backfire. But, I mean, Ryan Hall's going to have to do something different than just the same awkward, like, it wasn't even an Imanari roll that he was doing in his last fight, was it? He was
it was
turning
weird,
his back.
Man. Yeah, it was very, very weird, and he tried it over and over and over. So again, I think Ryan Hall does need to vary it up. Because I think Derek Minner, you're not going to be able to say this for many fights for him, but I think he has a striking advantage in this fight. But again, I'm with you. I think he's going to get into some exchange, get a little bit too confident in his grappling. I think Ryan Hall gets to his back and finishes him. I mean, dude, Ryan Hall, man. I mean, the guy like is one of those transcendent grapplers. I mean, he revolutionized a position in grappling, right? The guy is so freaking good. And again, the MMA doesn't always look that pretty, but it is effective for the most part.
Yeah. Jiu-jitsu nerds come out for his fight, and rightfully so.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Ben, let's end the show with some odds and ends. I did not think we were ever going to get to this point because I didn't think it made sense, but Tyron Woodley is getting his rematch with Jake Paul. It was announced, I believe, yesterday or 2 days ago that Tommy Fury had an injury. Jake Paul put out this video basically slaying Tommy Fury. Tyron Woodley is stepping up. Never thought we were going to see this boxing match again, but I mean, does it get you juices pumping at all? I mean, here's the thing. I feel like is Tyron Woodley really going to go out there for another 8-round fight and not throw his hands? Because I feel like if Tyron Woodley throws his hands, I think he should beat Jake Paul, even though we just fucking saw it. I still, and maybe this is me being naive and not believing that Jake Paul can beat a former MMA champion. But if Tyron Woodley throws his hands, this is his fight to lose. Am I not right?
I think you're right. But like, how many years have we been saying that about Tyron Woodley right now?
Yes, a long time.
I totally think you're right. That's because he also, I think, truly thought he was winning their first fight or would win their first fight, was going to get the decision. I think he's hopefully has maybe looked objectively at that fight or had somebody in his ear saying, just do that 3 more times. That flurry where he had Jake Paul hurt, just do it 3 more times and you're fucking set. But who knows? I have zero faith in him, especially because I think this is probably his last. Maybe if he wins, he might try for a trilogy fight.
Absolutely.
I guess. I also get the sense he's just collecting a paycheck and getting out of there, but who knows?
Well, there is a $500,000 knockout clause in the contract, apparently, if Tyron Woodley does knock him out. So, I mean, dude, if you can't get up for that and throw your hands, I don't know what's going to get you up, right?
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I mean, I'm not going to watch it live for sure, but I will be interested in the fallout. I'll say that much. Yeah,
agreed. Jake Paul is about a minus 260 favor right now, which I think is completely fair.
Yeah. Also, has Woodley been preparing? Has Woodley been doing anything? Why would he even be in the gym?
That is very true. So we'll see. Let me ask you this: we didn't get a chance to talk about this since it's been announced, but Beneil Dariush taking on Islam Makhachev. What a goddamn fight!
Yeah, grappler's delight, baby. I am so excited about that fight. I do early pick is Makhachev just by being a little bit more conservative and wearing out Dariush. But dude, what a great matchmaking. Eventually they're gonna have to put Makhachev against a real stud striker, but as far as grappling goes, I'm excited about this fight.
Dude, I'm going on the record early. I'm picking Beneil Dariush. I think this is a really tough fight for Makhachev. I think that Dariush is a better striker. I think he's got more power on the feet. And dude, his wrestling and grappling is top notch. I think he's going to be able to test Makhachev in the wrestling department. I don't think Makhachev is going to be able to go out there and just shoot and manhandle Dariush like he does to many of his guys. But man, what good fucking matchmaking. I am so pumped for this one.
I believe Dariush I know he's been an AKA jiu-jitsu coach for a while, but I believe Dariush might have been a brown belt world champion or something. He was a very, very highly touted jiu-jitsu stylist coming up. So yeah, if he was a brown belt world champion, usually those guys go on to be often black belt world champions. So he's that level of jiu-jitsu. Yeah,
that is a great matchmaking.
Yeah.
Last one before we get out of here. Felicia Spencer announces her retirement. Props to Felicia Spencer. I did pick her over Amanda Nunes. One of the worst picks I have made, but props to Felicia on a great career. She's getting out before she takes too much brain damage. So,
yeah. And if we haven't said it before, completely RIP to the UFC's featherweight division. I guess unless they sign Kayla Harrison, but the only other legit good featherweight, I guess Norma Dumont, right? She's up there, but yeah. Props to Felicia Spencer. Also one of the first, she fought on the very first Invicta event that I covered and head kicked, I think, Elena Kolesnik. I was impressed with her then. Props to her on a good career. Got it all the way basically to the top.
Yeah, I mean, she got to the top. She fought for a title, didn't win, but it's impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, dude. I think we knocked everything out. You got anything else to get off your chest before we get out of here?
I think that's it.
All right, guys. Thank you all for listening. Please give us a follow and a subscribe wherever you listen. YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes. We're all over the place. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and we'll talk to you all soon.